total 10 bank will be selected, and from this question will be distributed 140 principal officer of selected bank having minimum 5 years experience in different kinds of risk management process. First, we choose 10 bank, and the data for our secondary data is collected from that 10 banks, and also that from that 10 banks 140 principal risk officer will be chosen, and that make questionnaire for different risk and corporate governance issues, and will distribute it. Data collection. The study will use secondary and primary sources of data for its completion. The primary and secondary both data will be collection. Secondary source is Nepal Rashtra Bank publication, internet, book, journal, published annual report, and financial statement, related studies, and the other sources of information by downloading from Perspective website. Primary data, already I have mentioned that we will make that questionnaire survey, and data analysis tools and technique will apply the descriptive statistic, correlation analysis, regression analysis, ordinary least square OLS regression. And that ANOVA test, if necessary, that ANOVA table for regression also presented, and SPSS and Excel is usually used for the data processing technique. Limitation of the research. Everyone research has the certain limitation. I have also mentioned that certain limitation for my study, that is, it is only representing some banks, so it not mainly necessarily represent the all financial institution, that may be the limitations of all kinds of research. The study only focus on the literature review of corporate governance and risk management aspect of the banking sector only, because corporate governance is very universal topics. There are different sector, different dimension has there, but in my study only corporate governance is located or is focused for the banking system only. Data will collect only Kathmandu Valley, because that all central office of the bank is Kathmandu Valley, and other senior officer stayed in the Kathmandu. That's why it is representing from your geographical biasness can be avoided. The confidential nature and information on corporate governance and risk management of bank code of secrecy made it difficult for employees to willingly provide the needed, because this may be confidential information, that so the respondent may not have that equal encouragement for delivering the few and all information for researcher. This is the research ethics which researcher have to maintain in all dimensions. I have only mentioned here certain specific research ethics area which I have to follow for my research. That is, I have to protect and preserve all records which is used in the study. I use ethical resources only, that authentic, and I will try to use that ethical resource or that which is ethically provided, and respect for confidentiality and privacy. Any researcher had to maintain that confidentiality and privacy aspect of the respondent and other institutional relevancy. Carry out lawful research and reputation of the university, because the university I have self-reputation, so I will carry out, I will mention, I will care about the university reputation while I am taking my research activity. Honestly present information and data, result, research methods and procedure, and publication status. And lastly, I will share the data, ideas, tools, and resources. Always be open to criticism and new ideas for my topics in future. Thank you. And all about my detailed synopsis and detailed content is mentioned in my synopsis I have presented in my university. And thank you for cooperation and listen. Thank you. And any queries, I will try to.
Thank you, Mr. Rajan. Nice presentation. I had certain queries, right?
Thank you, sir.
In your synopsis on the research objective, you mentioned to explore the significant factors influencing the corporate governance and banking sector. That was the first research objective, right? You're getting the voice? आपके जो objectives थे, उसमें आपका first objective was to explore the significant factors influencing the corporate governance in banking sector, right? That was your first
Yes.
research objective.
Yes.
But while presenting your synopsis, you have categorically mentioned certain factors out of those you are studying, right? So my main question is, before doing any kind of factor analysis, how you can identify कि ये मेरे major factors है उसको मैं study करूंगा. आपकी खुद slide में एक जो diagram था उसमें सारा कुछ mentioned है. Already been the factors been identified. So research में इसको दोबारा करने का क्या मतलब आएगा?
नहीं सर, सर इसमें I have tried just collected the information in not only Nepalese context. That is, I am only so I have mentioned earlier that I have reviewed some factors in that till now, but I will explore in my research process from the primary or secondary data process.
I got your point. I got your point. I had very well read your synopsis. The synopsis had been given 15 days back from the university. So I had gone through all the major points. So there are certain minor queries because जब भी हम factors, when we talk about to identify the factors, the only method which is prescribed in the research methodology is the factor analysis. Why I am saying that? Because आपको identify करने के लिए कुछ तो चाहिए ना. अगर आप पहले से रिसर्च स्टडी को यूज कर रहे थे, पास्ट लिटरेचर डेटा if you are using it, so out of the past data the only method which is prescribed to see what has been done in past and what we can interpret is the meta analysis, right? I'm giving the new term to the research student जो अभी यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं, जो सीख रहे हैं. Meta analysis आप लिख लीजिएगा कहीं पे. It's a new term. And why we are incorporating the meta analysis? Meta analysis basically done, जो past में आपने जो data पढ़ा है, research analysis करा है, literature review you had done. So this analysis, this meta analysis, gives you the trend कि पिछला क्या हुआ है exactly. उसको आप निकाल सकते हैं. You can interpret it and you can, decide for the future कि whether we are going in a right direction or not. कई बार क्या होता है कि you select the topic on the basis of certain outcomes from any paper or related to it. But finally, जब हम उसको data collection में जाते हैं, so there may be a problem, right? So my simple advice is those who are sitting here and they are learning about the how to write this synopsis and what could be the research problems are, right? And how to identify a good topic. So before going for any good topic, read certain good papers, do meta analysis, right? Once you do meta analysis, it itself give rise to one research paper, right? That is the most requirement. Right? Number two, एक आपने while presenting, you had write कि you are considering the total 27 commercial bank and you are taking the data from only 27 commercial bank. So in Nepal, we are having only 27 commercial bank or more than 27?
No, sir. Nepal in only 27 commercial banks are now.
Okay. So the second mistake was that you are completely focusing on the whole population, not about the sample. Right? Once you consider the total number of banks, 27 is the total number of banks there, and you are considering the whole 27 number of banks. So
no, 10, sir. I will.
Out of 27, you are focusing on 10, right?
10
After presentation, there was a mistake. You can very well see you had clearly written that there are 27 commercial banks and you are considering all 27. So that means population and the sample size are same. So that is a second mistake in your presentation. So
no, sir, I have mentioned 10 banks, sir. In presentation, I have mentioned I will choose 10 banks.
Okay, 10 banks, right. Third point I want to ask, since these are the commercial banks and they are governed by the Nepal government.
Central bank, yes. Not
right. So that is governed by the government. So is there any point measuring the risk analysis?
Yes. Sir, that's why I'm choosing sampling in 3 ways, sir. That is, there are 3 state owner bank, some 5 joint venture bank, and I have that more than 15 Arab capital, so I have that 8 Arab. That's why I will choose my sample from startup basis. I will make that 3 or 4 startup first, and out of that, I will choose the 10.
When we talk about the strata sampling or the strata, how to make the strata, you cannot say I am like 3 or 4. So the whole population has to be divided according to the similar characteristics.
Yes, same, sir, yeah.
Right, same characteristics, one strata, other characteristic, the other strata, and out of those strata, again, you need to identify out, let's say suppose 27 banks you are having, right? In first strata, that is a medium segment, we have 5 banks. In the second strata, I'm having 7 banks. And in the third strata, I'm having the remaining. So what could be the sample size from each of these strata? You got my point? If suppose you are having 27 banks, and
Yes,
out
sir.
of that you are taken, let's say, divided into certain stratas, right?
Yes, sir.
और आपने बोला कि 10 आपका total sample size रहेगा. So out of 27 जो 10 का magical figure आया, how? Because you know, whenever you're taking a sample, that sample must represent that particular strata.
Strata, yes. Can I present table, sir? That for me, can I make that table for the make state any specific characters, sir? Characteristics, and that.
Could you please repeat what you're saying? I'm not getting it.
Yes.
Can you please repeat your question?
Can I make that specific table to allocate the different characteristics?
You don't have to make a specific table. You don't have to make a specific table. That's a very simple rule. आपके पास stratas हैं, total number of population है, so there is one statistical formula by which we can define the sample size, right? अगर small sample है, small strata है, so I can take 2 or 3. So there are certain points behind it. So you need to follow. I will review,
sir, for that.
You need to follow that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And why you are using ANOVA testing? It's a one-way ANOVA or two-way ANOVA? Will you be using?
ANOVA, sir.
It's a one-way ANOVA or two-way ANOVA which you will use?
Yes, sir. I will not confirm that now. That after I will decide to consult with my supervisor and that.
Okay.
One.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. These are my certain observations. I'll kindly change them.
I have noted, sir. I will improve in my research, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Can you make another presentation?
Very good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, it's me, Ramchandra Bhandari from Nepal, and PhD scholar of Singhania University, and I'm going to present my synopsis. May I present, sir?
Please. You're not visible, actually. I'm not able to see you where you are.
Me, sir? Yes, sir.
Did you open your camera?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now it's visible. Now it's visible.
Could you see me, sir?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Namaskar. Very good morning, sir.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Yes, sir. Sir, my research topic is stock price determinants of listed banks and financial institutions in Nepal, sir. Basically, financial institutions in Nepal are classified according to BAFIA, Banking and Financial Institution Act 2063 and 64 of Nepal. Introduction. Stock price is a major concern of all the investors in the world, as the investors, they are still in dilemma how to invest in stock price and in the stock market. Next one is the stock price volatility seems a normal phenomenon, even the time and situations are same, means the fluctuations in market seems very much mysterious and random even in a day too, so that I'm making this slide and this research topic for my research. In Nepalese context, the history of securities market in Nepal began with flotation of shares by Biratnagar Jute Mills Limited and Nepal Bank Limited in 1937, and the introduction of Company Act 1964, the first issuance of government bond in 1964, and establishment of Securities Exchange Center Limited in 1976 in Nepal were the pioneer terms for the stock market as well as for the stock trading. And till the date, there are 13 sectors listed in NEPSE, and currently 219 companies are being active there in the stock market for trading the shares. The current scenario, the current situation and the current scenario of market in the Nepal Stock Exchange seems there were 215 companies being listed and traded in stock market in 2019, whereas there were 212 in 2020 July. As per the same data, the companies, they are getting merged in Nepal, hence only 219 companies are being traded because of just combination and merger ongoing there in Nepal. Statement of the problem for the Nepalese context, the stock market is being very much big, so that only near about of 10 to 15% people of the country are being interested and they are being investors on the share market. Hence, for making them active and to attract the people there in the stock market, these topics or this research will help much more vigorously. Purpose of this study to explore the stock price. What are the determinants? First of all, the first exploration for the determinants of stock price will be the first attempt, whereas to allocate their rank, visiting the stock investors in the market and stakeholders in the market, the researcher will try to rank them and also to explore the relationship between the factors with respect to the stock price, means the relationship of various factors of the determinants of stock market with stock price of financial institutions in Nepal. The single purpose of this study, just compiling many more terms, they have been classified under the objective of this study. The first one objective is to identify determinants of stock prices. The second one, to assign the rank on the basis of primary data, taking the interview with the people and stakeholders, investors, as well as the members of NEPSE and SEBON. Just the researcher will try to rank the factors they are having the influence on stock price of different financial institutions in Nepal. The third one is to analyze the influence of specific determinants. Specific determinants are non-economic, especially they are related to the accounting as well as financial terms, means the financial factors, whereas the economic means especially the macroeconomic determinants of the stock price. The third one is to allocate, to aware the people and to give idea, to identify the determinants on which the investors they have to concern. They have to take just sensitivity before making their decision for the investment in the market, means to identify the determinants on which the investors they have to invest on the basis of their portfolio investment. Research question on the basis of the research objective. I have just made 5 questions. What are the determinants of stock price? Second one, what is the rank of determinants of the stock price? What is the influence of specific determinants? Specific determinants are especially belonging to the determinants of finance sector, whereas the next one, they are the macroeconomic factors. I have just classified the determinants on the basis of on the basis of the nature as well as on the basis of their numerical data, on the basis of quantitative data. I have just classified specific as well as macroeconomic on the basis of the meta-analysis as I made before with 15 resources in the past. What is the influence of macroeconomic determinants on the stock price? And next one is, what are the determinants the investors to consider for the investment decision making in future? Research hypothesis, sir. With respect to the previous studies, I went through 15 resources, the 5 international and 10 national resources and article papers, and I found there basically they were belonging to economic sector, taking 3-4 economic factor or macroeconomic factors. They were conducting the research with hypothesis. Likewise, taking a specific factor, dividend policy, tangibility and different other financial ratios, they were taken, and with the help of the ratios, they developed the hypothesis. With the basis of the same, I have made, or the researcher has made some research models here for the hypothesis testing. Significance of this study: the stock market is very much significant component of the financial sector of any economy in any nation. It plays a vital role in mobilization of capital in many emerging economies. Nepalese banks and financial market play a vital role in collecting money and encouraging investment for the national development. Literature review. I went through Sindhu, Bukhari, and Hussein. Just this one is the pioneer research to me to go ahead for taking the different ideas regarding the macroeconomic factors. From the research, I took 3 macroeconomic factors. The second one, just Garabian 2015. From this, I took especially the money supply and domestic product, changes in growth opportunity. These 3 factors I took from here for the research, for the meta-analysis.
Mr. Ram, can you please skip these literature review?
Yes, sir.
Please skip the literature review. Please skip that.
Okay, let me go ahead, sir. Taking the latest one, Silwal and Napit from Nepal. Just I took the specific factor. Finally, the conclusion, I got 3 conclusions from the review, sir. The first one is the most of the early research studies have used only one model, economic model, and just under the economic model, econometric least square model, and the others taking the specific factors, they took statistical model, ANOVA model. But next one is none of the research I got in Nepal and also in ResearchGate that the researchers were using both the models for the interpretation, taking specific and macroeconomic model. The first one difference is that. The second one, in case of resource analysis, most of the Nepalese as well as the other researchers in Nepal, we got that they were using specific variables only. But I will try to use, and I'm making plan to use both the variables, specific as well as macroeconomic variable. The last one difference is that some of the, especially the resources, they have used.
Sorry to interrupt. Somebody named Venkat. His mic is on.
Sorry, let me go.
Mr. Venkat, please, could you please switch off your mic?
Me, sir?
No, Mr. Venkat.
Raju, Kavya,
Mr. Venkat, please, can you please switch off your mic?
Vishal, Kiran,
The host can mute him. The host can mute him.
Sripal,
Me, sir?
Pavan,
Yeah, you are a host. You can mute Mr. Venkat. You can mute.
Venugopal, Sai Pradeep, Prithvinjay,
Papa, I think you are a host, so you can mute Mr. Venkat.
Bharat, Jawhar, Sandeep, Jay Sandeep.
Mr. Venkat, if you are listening to us, please mute your mic.
Ashvika, Balraj,
उनका ध्यान नहीं है सर इधर.
अंजलि.
अरे ध्यान नहीं है तो आप प्लीज किसी जो होस्ट है वो तो उनको म्यूट कर सकता है ना.
डिप्लोमा राजेश, शिव कुमार, राघवेंद्र, सूर्या.
Mr. Venkat, Amit is also present, Rekha is also present, Ramchandra is also present if you're marking the attendance. Could you please mute yourself? Mr. Venkat, I'm requesting you please mute yourself.
Sir, namaskar. सबैलाई सुरु भइसक्यो हो क्लास.
So, Mr. Ram, can you please continue with the presentation? Mr. Venkat, please, Mr. Ram, please, you can start.
Sir, just starting or
Ram sir, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Sir, could you listen me, sir?
Yeah, please start.
Okay, sir. Sorry for the disturbance, sir. Now I like to go ahead. From the previous literature review, I came to conclude three conclusions. The first one conclusion is that majority of the researchers belonging to economic section or economics group, they are taking only the macroeconomic variables, whereas the researchers belonging to finance and management sectors, they are using the specific variables for the stock price determinants and for the declaration of determinants of stock price determination in the stock market. Whereas the next one is that econometrics of the economic variables, they were calculated under the least square method taking the regression model, whereas the specific variables under the financial and accounting group of the resources, they were taking only the regression analysis or the correlation coefficient analysis. And the third gap is that I found in Nepalese context, none of the resources they have given priority for the declaration and study of determinants of stock price belonging to microfinance and finance companies. Hence, the researcher is making to go ahead taking the samples from all the financial institutions as categorized by BAFIA 2064 FHAL. Sir, could you please listening me? Are you listening me? Okay.
Hey,
Sir? Yes. On the basis of the previous studies, for the ranking of stock price determinants under the primary data collection, just from the meta-analysis, I went to compile this figure where in between or at center stock price is there, and from the surrounding internal factors, external factors, macroeconomic factors, political and environmental factors, they are being surrounded, means stock price is being surrounded by those factors. What may be the factors in Nepalese banking sectors or financial institution sector in future? Just researcher will try on the basis of primary resource, and it will be under the qualitative research model. Regarding the variables, just researcher has classified the variables under two categories are independent variables and dependent variables. Under the independent variables, specific variables are liquidity, tangibility, leverage, profitability, efficiency, market capitalization, growth of the firm. These are the capital structure determining elements of financial institutions. Whereas under the econometric variable, means under the econometrics firm or under the economic sector, macroeconomic variables are gross domestic product, GDP, interest rate, demand, supply, exchange rate, inflation. If other required, I will consult with my supervisor, and the decision of supervisor will be the last one. And this is the model that I developed on the basis of meta-analysis I did in the past. And sir, I would like to request you that making the meta-analysis of 50 resources from different countries, sir, it's very much pleasure to me to inform you that I have made one article and sent to different countries, means the foreign countries for publishing, and they are under the observation. And one of the research article journal of Europe has given me the information that the article is being under the observation is under the process of publication too. Regarding the research methodology, sir, I'm making plan, or the researcher is making plan to use descriptive and analytical research.
Voice is gone.
Mr. Ram, you are not audible. Mr. Ram, you are not audible.
Sir, what is there?
Mr. Ram, you are not audible. I don't know. He's not in the meeting also.
Sir, what happens here now? Must I the sound or?
Those who had joined late, some two students are presenting their synopsis for the final approval so they can start with the PhD process.
Sir, परसों evening में.
Remaining
Sir,
students, mute
Namaste,
yourself.
sir.
Okay. Yeah, please mute yourself. Remaining students are requested. Please mute yourself. क्या नाम भंडारी को खुश बनाओ भंडारी को ओके ओके राजन बिक्रम थापा
So, मेरे सर अगर वो है मिस्टर राम आपके आसपास, तो I had certain observation related to his synopsis. So, can I ask or tell him?
Sir,
So, Mr. Ram, I
yes,
think you
sir.
got disconnected. No issues. So, I have gone through your synopsis. I am audible to you, Mr. Ram? Mr. Ram,
Sir.
I am audible to you?
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'm
Sorry, sir,
asking
because of
okay,
electricity
Mr. Ram,
problem, it is going to happen.
Mr. Ram.
And I'm studying research methodology. For the completion of my research, the researcher has selected the descriptive and analytical research methodology as I was explaining, but because of electricity breakdown, I could not explain that the first part of my research will be completed with
Mr. Ram, I'm
recognition
audible
or
to you.
identification of
You're
the
listening?
elements and the
Mr. Ram, please
identification
stop.
of elements, their ranking, they are under the primary data collection and research, so that and the remaining two factors means the specific variables and macroeconomic variables will be observed, and the relationship with the stock price will be observed on the basis of quantitative data, so that quantitative model and qualitative model are just fusion here in this research methodology, so that mixed model is being applied or will be applied. Population of the sample till recently in Nepal, 219 companies are just classified and they are listed in NEPSE. Out of them, 27 are commercial bank, 19 are development bank, 17 are finance companies, and 70 are microfinances. On the basis of strata or stratified sampling procedure, the banks will be selected or the samples will be selected, and for the selection, other suggestions and instruction will be also taken from my respected supervisor. Data collection for the
Mr.
primary
Ram,
data. Yes, sir.
Mr. Ram, I had gone through the whole synopsis given by the university. I had certain points to be asked. So kindly
Yes,
note
sir.
down and just tell me how you will proceed into it. You had given 13 hypotheses in your synopsis.
Yes, sir.
अभी तो एक काम करते, those who had joined recently or those who are with us, so I request everyone to please
Yes, sir.
focus on meta-analysis. Why I'm saying every time meta-analysis, because once you learn the tools and techniques or the method to do the meta-analysis, that means the
Yes,
past
sir.
data, past literature review, the past so many research papers you are studying. Obviously, there is one trend which you are following it.
Yes,
If you are able
yes,
to
sir.
find out that trend, if you are able to analyze that trend, automatically you are in a position to write one research paper, that too of the international repute. ठीक है ना? तो
Yes,
वो
sir.
एक जो बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट होता है पीएचडी में कि एक पेपर हो जाना चाहिए था सिनॉप्सिस के
Yes,
बाद.
sir.
सो व्हाइल
Yes, sir.
अडॉप्टिंग द मेटा एनालिसिस टेक्निक, आपका एक ऑटोमेटिकली रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश हो जाता है. जो
Yes,
लिटरेचर
sir.
रिव्यू आप करते हैं, मोर देन 60 पेपर्स, 20 पेपर्स, व्हाटएवर यू आर स्टडिंग, जस्ट अप्लाई द
Yes,
मेटा
sir.
एनालिसिस टूल्स, सो एक रिसर्च पेपर
Yes,
आपका बन जाता है. तो जितने भी रिसर्चर्स हैं, दोज हु आर डूइंग इट, दैट्स अ
yes,
एडवांटेज.
yes,
Before
sir.
moving into the actual research, your research paper is published, right? So go for
Yes,
it. Number two,
yes,
Mr.
sir.
Ram, आपके 13 hypotheses हैं.
Yes, sir.
Either you had a strong guts, or you had a very a good research background. So 13 hypotheses means you need to apply various tests.
Yes, sir.
अगर hypothesis use कर रहे हो तो आपको hypothesis testing करना पड़ेगा. Hypothesis
पड़ेगा, sir.
testing कर रहे, since I am seeing more than 2119 are there, 374 companies are there, so you'll be using lots of data. So
Yes, sir.
sometime it could be a small sample, sometimes it could be the large sample. So आपको T test लगाना पड़ेगा, Z test लगाना पड़ेगा, single mean test लगाना पड़ेगा, double mean test लगाना पड़ेगा. Are you able to do all these testing of hypothesis? क्या आप कर पाएंगे?
Sir, I'm making plan to test the hypothesis under the regression and correlation model, sir, so that calculation.
Sorry, I'm sorry. If you are using 13 hypotheses, if you are using econometrics models, they are
Yes,
not
sir.
related. अगर आप econometrics model को use कर रहे हो तो उसके लिए एक अलग method होता है hypothesis testing का. Objectives
Yes, sir.
रखते, if you have more than 13 hypotheses रखने का मतलब है आपको various tests अलग-अलग field के लगाने.
Yes, sir.
That's not possible to combine all 13 hypotheses in a single test. एक single test से नहीं कर सकते आप.
Yes, sir.
राइट. सेकेंडली आपने यूज करा है रैंकिंग मेथड. अब रैंकिंग को
Yes.
कैसे यूज करोगे, कैसे रैंक करोगे? हाइपोथेटिकल रैंकिंग नहीं कर सकते, आपको रैंक एनालिसिस करनी पड़ेगी, रैंक कोरिलेशन निकालना पड़ेगा.
Mhm.
उसके बिना करना बहुत मुश्किल है. आप फोकस करो, आइदर 1, 2 और 3, मैक्सिमम 4 हाइपोथेसिस इज क्वाइट गुड. ओके, 4 से
Okay,
ऊपर
sir.
हाइपोथेसिस में मल्टीपल टेस्ट लगाना पड़ता है. और मल्टीपल
Yes,
टेस्ट
sir.
का मीन्स है द डेटा हैज टू बी मोर देन 500 थिंग. अब 500 आपके वहां होगा ही नहीं.
Yes, sir. Sir, most of the researchers, they were using Likert scale for the ranking of
Likert
different
scale
other
is
elements.
Likert scale is only used for certain थोड़े टाइम के लिए रैंक ले सकते हो पर एनालाइज करने के लिए, बट उसको प्रोजेक्ट नहीं कर सकते.
Okay, sir.
लिकर्ट स्केलिंग आप रैंकिंग के लिए यूज कर सकते हो, बट उसमें न्यूट्रल भी तो रखते हो. रैंकिंग के लिए नहीं होता, बेसिकली वो ओपिनियन के लिए होता है.
Yes, sir.
राइट. सो आप लोग
Yes,
जो फोकस कर रहे हो, देखो, दिखाने के लिए तेरा हाइपोथेसिस लिखना, इकोनोमेट्रिक्स मॉडल लिखना, वो मेरे जैसा अगर इवैल्यूएटर होगा वो पकड़ लेगा 1 सेकंड में.
Yes, sir.
आई एम वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट इन रिसर्च ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. आई एम वेरी strict in identifying the gaps. Wherever I'll
Yes, sir.
guide my student, I never say if you are using econometric model, that is itself is a very big task.
Okay, sir.
because you had more than 5 to 7 or 8 variables. So it can move
Yes,
to
sir.
non-linear regression also. It could move to linear regression also. You need to apply lots of analytical tools. So there is no point having more hypothesis.
Yes, sir.
यार काम वो करो जो आप जस्टिफाई कर पाओ. जितने भी रिसर्चर्स बैठे हैं सबको रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं मैं, एक नोबेल
sir.
प्राइज के लिए काम मत करो, नहीं मिलेगा.
Yes, sir.
समझो,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
वो करो जो आप जस्टिफाई कर पाओ.
Okay, sir.
क्योंकि रिसर्च सिंघानिया यूनिवर्सिटी ने रिसर्च की गाइडलाइंस चेंज कर दी हैं. दे आर वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट नाउ, बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट हो गए हैं. एक एक पॉइंट पे वैल्यूएशन हमसे लेते हैं, एक एक पॉइंट आपको बताया जाएगा और कहीं पे भी वो आपको टाइट कर देंगे. सो प्लीज डू वट एवर यू कैन जस्टिफाई ओनली. दिखाने के लिए
Okay, sir.
इतने 13 हाइपोथेसिस. मैं 25 इयर्स हो गए रिसर्च लाइन में, मोर देन 100
Yes,
रिसर्च
sir.
पेपर्स हैं मेरे पास. 17 स्टूडेंट्स मेरे अंडर PhD कर चुके हैं. मैं खुद हिम्मत नहीं करूंगा 13 हाइपोथेसिस लेना किसी एक पेपर में.
Yes, sir.
So my
Okay,
sincere
sir.
advice to you, reduce the hypothesis, club them. Instead of having elaborating it, club it. Right? Rank के लिए
Okay, sir.
specify the tools. आप ranking के लिए क्या use करोगे? Likert scaling से ranking नहीं निकलती है.
Okay,
5
sir.
point Likert scale में neutral point भी होता है, उसकी वजह से ranking नहीं निकल सकता है. So apply the proper tools and techniques.
Yes, sir.
Plus ANOVA को आप हर समय use नहीं कर सकते.
Yes, sir.
अनोवा को इन डेप्थ स्टडी करो. वो एक या दो वेरिएबल्स को स्टडी कर सकता है. आपके 13 हाइपोथेसिस का मतलब है 13 वेरिएबल्स. 13 वेरिएबल्स का अनोवा टेबल यू कैन नॉट मेक. सो दीज आर माय सर्टेन ऑब्जर्वेशंस. सो आप अपने हाइपोथेसिस को रिड्यूस करो. नंबर 1, रैंक कैसे
Yes,
करोगे
sir.
उसको आइडेंटिफाई करो. बेस्ट टूल बता रहा हूं आपको, किसी भी रिसर्च में अप्लाई करना हो डेटा रिडक्शन में, हम फैक्टर एनालिसिस को यूज करते हैं. स्टडी दैट फैक्टर एनालिसिस. उसमें कोरिलेशन टेबल भी आता है, स्क्री प्लॉट भी होता है, ग्राफ्स भी होते हैं. सो दैट पर्टिकुलर एक सिंगल जो फैक्टर एनालिसिस है ना, वो आपको बहुत हेल्प करेगा एनालिसिस के लिए. आपको हाइपोथेसिस में कभी जाना ही नहीं पड़ेगा.
Okay, sir.
And if you are moving toward, or secondly, if you are moving toward hypothesis testing, kindly specify the sample size. हम गलती करते हैं, हमें ये नहीं पता होता कि Z टेस्ट कहाँ लगेगा, T टेस्ट कहाँ लगेगा, F टेस्ट कहाँ लगेगा. That totally depend upon your sample size.
Yes, sir.
Right? So ये बहुत
Okay, sir.
बारीक छोटी छोटी चीजें होती है रिसर्च में that you need to understand. कि अगर मेरे को ये T टेस्ट लगाना है तो what could be my sample size is. Z टेस्ट लगाना है तो मेरा sample size ये होगा. Then only you can get the result. ये इकोनोमेट्रिक्स का जो मॉडल है ना, ये itself is a non-linear regression में चला जाएगा ये. राइट? आपने एरर की बात भी करोगे, बहुत सारी चीजों की बात करोगे. सो प्लीज स्पेसिफाई इट.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है. सो दीज चेंजेस यू नीड टू इनकॉर्पोरेट. रेस्ट एवरीथिंग इज ओके फ्रॉम माय साइड.
Okay, sir.
राइट? आई होप
Okay, sir.
प्लीज डोंट माइंड, क्योंकि आप थोड़ा सा चेंज करोगे चीजें अच्छी निकल कर आएंगी.
Okay, sir.
राइट?
I'll do, sir. Okay, sir.
थैंक यू. थैंक यू.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. I am indebted to you, sir.
थैंक यू. Sumit sir, any other orders for me?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable. Remaining scholars doing, presently research.
Sumit sir, can I leave now?
Yeah, dear scholars, if you have any questions, okay. Otherwise,
Any doubts from any research scholars, I'm ready to answer. Any
Hello?
query from any of the researcher? If you want to ask anything from me, I'm here to answer your queries.
Sir will take class tomorrow, okay? Class tomorrow. So you at the same time, okay? So you have to join it, okay?
Okay. ठीक है सर, कल मिलते हैं.
Yeah, please, sir.
हाँ?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, where is our sir from, sir?
हेलो, आप लोग मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं?
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir.
सुन पा रहे
Yes, sir. Good morning. Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, we organized two students presentation, okay, the two college students, those present at the campus, but due to some busy schedules, sir did not come here, but he gave his time, little time, to the Zoom meeting, okay. So you people, okay.
Sir, I am joined timely, sir.
10 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. He will be
Okay,
available
sir.
for the online class.
Tomorrow, what time you said?
10 o'clock.
आज का क्लास नहीं एंड होगा, आगे क्लास नहीं होगा. वी आर एंडिंग क्लास, ओके.
सर कल क्लास होगी या छुट्टी?
हाँ, 10 बजे क्लास होगा. कल प्रेजेंट रहेंगे 10 बजे.
क्या सर?
10 बजे होगा.
हाँ, कल क्लास होगा 10 बजे क्लास होगा. सब
आज सर कोई क्लास नहीं है.
आज 11 बजे
क्लास नहीं है. हम थोड़े बिजी हैं, प्रेजेंटेशन चल रहे हैं यहाँ पे, तो बिजी है.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
10 बजे से सर जो अभी जो ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंट थे, जो प्रेजेंटेशन ले रहे थे, यही सर कल रहेंगे.
ओके सर, ओके.
अभी क्लास एंड होगा आज का, दिन का पूरा एंड होगा आज का.
मेरा आज का वो प्रेजेंट होगा कि नहीं हुआ सर?
अभी हो गया, अभी मीटिंग एंड कर रहे हैं, अभी कोई क्लास नहीं है.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू.
10 बजे मिलेंगे मॉर्निंग में.
ये जस्ट अभी बैठे लिखा, सोचा कि
ठीक है उनके हाँ नॉलेज में एक बार डाल आगे बेटे, नॉलेज में डाल दे. अगर वो फिर भी नहीं मानते हैं तो फिर मैं देख लेना.
10 a.m. Yeah.
अभी तो बेटे मेरी क्लास है, मैं क्लास में जा रही
अभी हमारी कोई क्लास नहीं है, कल है 10 बजे ना.
हूँ. आज क्लास किस टाइम पे स्टार्ट हुई थी?
कल तो संडे है.
WhatsApp group.
Okay, now
कोई व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है मेरा? अगर कोई व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप हो तो